So, welcome back to another episode of the Unearth with Sasha-Shae podcast. And hello, hi, welcome. What's up? What's good? I'm Sasha-Shae and I'm your host on this here podcast. So, today we're going to just jump right into it. We are talking about, I guess, more businessy stuff for today. And more so, I wanted to touch on, what it's like being a solopreneur, entrepreneur, migration from freelance and that type of thing. But yeah, in all seriousness, what it is like just running a business or daring to venture into your dream. Yeah. So I want to say previous episodes I did mention about, when I was in college, I did start a blog, and from the blogging, I kind of like eased my way into saying, yes, I think I want to full time do, websites, branding, that type of stuff. I mean, yes, I did study visual arts in school, right? After comp sci, like, yeah, I'll go back and just like listen to the episode, right? Um, but even though I studied visual arts and digital media in school, I definitely will admit, running the blog itself, it was a hobby, right? It was a professional hobby, but it was definitely a hobby. And, it allowed me that freedom, that flexibility to kind of create like designs and stuff on my own for myself and, just put it out there, think nothing of it. And because of that blog, I remember I started to have a few people ask, like, hey, do you know how to do XYZ? And also at the time, too, I used to help in my local church with graphics, with certain different types of graphics and stuff. And, so from that, it was like that little push to say, hey, you could actually do this, right? Um, Needless to say, when I did start officially doing like graphics and websites and stuff like that for other people, it was kind of nerve-wracking only because I wasn't sure, like, wow, people really want this type of stuff. Is the work I'm putting out there going to even be good enough? And I'm the kind of person where I'm like, listen, yes, I admit I am a perfectionist. If the thing is not top notch, stellar, exceeds your expectation, I just don't feel right. I just feel like, oh my gosh, I did you a disservice kind of thing. And, obviously that's a complex that gotta learn how to get over that, because if you live in this life long enough, perfectionism is somewhat of a myth, at least the way how it is presented, where, everything has to be squeaky clean, all that stuff, that's not really attainable in this life. When the Lord himself, changes us in the earth made new, then sure, we shall truly be perfect. But while we're here in this corruptible world, that kind of ideal or idea of perfection it's really not quite realistic, and that is not to say that we don't do our best to live up to a certain standard. Obviously, keep your standards high. Keep, keep the aim very high, all of that, but be realistic as well in the approach. Anyways, I digress. Yes, as I was saying, I wasn't sure if what I was doing or what I was putting out was going to be stuff that really would help people, or be the best for them. And so initially, I really struggled a lot with, like, man, how do I put myself out there? How do I make sure that it's going to be something they rave about, all that stuff. And as a result, I would underprice myself a lot. I would, just second guess myself. Gosh, second guess myself so hard about so many things. And one tip I want to say just right away to new business owners, first and foremost, if you've already been practicing doing the work on your own, if you've already been, honing in on your own skills, really taking that time, that effort to make sure that what it is that you do is really good, it's quality. Don't ever let people kind of like pigeonhole you into thinking that, because you're new, you have to charge pennies, or because you don't have a bajillion years of experience just yet, that means they're able to take the upper hand of you, take advantage of you, all that type of stuff, right? So that there's that. What else? When you are starting out, it's going to be very overwhelming on how to put yourself out there. Not just only in the marketing sense of it, but how you put yourself out there in terms of presentation, pricing, as I said, the things that you need to have in place to make sure that when people do start coming in, you're not like falling apart at the seams, all that type of stuff. And with that said, I've definitely tested a lot, a lot of software, some hardware too, but a lot of software out there. So if y'all got questions about something, chances are I probably have tried it at least once before. So definitely hit me up, let me know so I could, talk about it as well. But yeah, so I would definitely say, one, like I mentioned, don't let people pigeonhole you about your skills, your knowledge, and your pricing. Two, try to set up systems, right? Systems that not only safeguards you yourself, but helps you to have a smooth process as you work with people. So that's going to look like, making sure you have contracts. Please, please, please listen to me. Let me make sure I'm looking in the camera for y'all on the, the listen only experience. Just understand that I'm like face to face with you right now, and I'm looking you dead in your eyes and I'm going to say what I'm about to say. Please, please, for all things beautiful in this world, please always operate with a contract. I don't care if you are charging like, I don't know, like let's say what I see people charging $50 for an e-flyer, whatever the case, I don't care how small the amount of money is. Institute yourself a contract. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Now, what else? Yeah, so having a contract, having an invoice, right? An invoice. What else is a basic one? You may or may not necessarily need a proposal template right away when you first get started, but it's nice to have that as well. But yeah, just having systems in place, even your emails, right? Like your email templates. And when I say templates, I don't necessarily mean the designed template, but just the verbiage of when you are in a certain process, part of your process, I should say, what it is, what is it that you're going to be saying to these people? So for example, if you started to onboard, right, welcoming your new client into your sphere of working with you, how are you greeting them? Yes, obviously you want to personalize, each email, but for the most part, there are going to be certain aspects of that welcome, very, very initial welcome email that you want to make sure every single client that you worked with understood. So, that could look like your office hours, or, best ways to contact you, or how the timeline is going to go, whatever. I don't know. You alone will know what your process is, and you won't get to a perfect process until a few times of doing it, working with people, learning as you go. What else? So let's see, what did I say so far? I mentioned that you want to stand firm in your abilities, and with standing firm in your abilities, I can't remember if I had said this, but if I didn't, making sure that you're always learning, always refreshing your skills, always, being willing to like get better. If you are ever at a place where you're just like, oh, I know everything. There's nothing new for me to learn. You basically already lost. Like we are never supposed to ever be in a place where we're not able to learn something new. Every single new day that God graces us on this earth is an opportunity for us to learn something new. So yeah, cut it out. Anyways, so standing firm in your skills, not allowing people to pigeonhole you into pricing, being able to have processes and having things in place where it will go smoothly and it will help safeguard you, help safeguard your client. What else? I'm just trying to think of, like, I guess the basics of what would be good for when you are like either first starting your business or yeah, like just jumping into this and things you want to know. Websites, social media presence, all that stuff, your brand. That's a whole other involved thing, and I'll definitely get into that stuff later in later episodes, I guess. But as an overview, I will say absolutely start to take your socials seriously, right? If you already have thought about your business name, so let's say you just had an idea, and now you're just like, oh, I want to do this. I really want to do this. I want to serve people with this thing. Think about what your name would be. A lot of times, the first name you start with probably is not going to be the name you end with. So keep that in mind. Be flexible. What else? Your branding is probably not going to be no, why am I saying probably? It's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to be more than likely like a solid 99% chance that it won't be final when you're first starting out. Why? Because oftentimes to create a true long-lasting brand identity, you need to have data to work with. And unless you have been doing something where, I don't know, you're in school or you did internships and you were, racking up certain types of experience working in the specific thing that you're now venturing out on your own to do. So you have like tangible data to say, ooh, when I worked with XYZ, this and that and the third happened. It's just like, you're new to this. You're not gonna know for sure what really resonates well with the ideal people that you want to work with. Now, is that a hard and fast rule? Not entirely, because I will say you also could do a lot of market research. It's gonna take a while, but you could also do a lot of market research, and that also could help you to, figure out a lot of these things so that as soon as you do jump into actually starting this business, you are off, you're basically off to the races. So I'm not saying there's only one way, but oftentimes when you're first starting out, a lot of people have not done the market research, and they're just trying to dabble into it, dip their toes in, understand if the water is a little too cold, if it's hot, how far they gotta go, all that type of stuff. So yeah, you're not going to have much data to work with just yet. So understand that until you get a lot of the data to really like know who your ideal client is, what it is that you really are trying to do for them, how you're helping them, how do you help transform their lives, how are you going to ensure that you are meeting a problem, you're solving a specific problem that they have. Chances are you are not going to know any of that stuff right away. And that's perfectly fine. That is quite okay. You just have to be willing to, identify like, all right, I don't necessarily know these things just yet. So let me learn what these things are, be super attentive, be observant, always have your ears open basically, and hear what people are saying, see what it is that they're gravitating towards as it relates to, again, the service that you're trying to provide and the problem that you're trying to solve. But yeah, from there, you take that data and then eventually you build the actual brand that you want to build. Anyways, like I said, I could get more into that future episodes, but yes, keep that in mind. What else? What else is good when you are first starting? Oh, do not feel pressured into having to spend like $1 billion. Exaggeration, I know. $1 billion on like everything out there, because oftentimes a lot of coaches, or whether you actually hired a coach or you're just following coaches on social media, a lot of times they'll make it seem like you have to put out so much money in all these things right away, and if you don't do it, then you're definitely going to fail. And there's this whole other side of like the ugly side of the internet where people are bullying you into, you have to do this, and if you don't do it, then they try to hit you with some psychological thing of, oh, it's because you don't want more for yourself. I'm not even gonna get into that, because let me tell you, it's wild out there, okay? The wild, wild west. But as I was saying, don't let people bully you into thinking that you have to do all these things and you have to do them in a specific way. What I've honestly learned, which I truly wish I knew, I guess, sooner, was that a lot of times when people are telling you, oh, you got to do it this way, or oh, you should do this, or you should do that, they're just talking based on their own individualized experience. It's not necessarily something where it's repeatable for a lot of people. So that left me to begin to realize the best plan is always God's plan. And if we take everything that we want to do or that we feel led to do to the Lord in prayer, He's going to outline for us a specific plan that's perfect for us, right? Because chances are the thing that you are trying to do, obviously, and there's a lot of people out here in this world. There's like, what, 8 billion people in this world? Or, billion people in this world. You think like you're not going to be the only one trying to do a specific service, right? However, the way you approach it, the way you bring yourself to that specific table, the way you internalize how it is, all that type of stuff, that's going to be unique to you. And especially if you bathe that thing in prayer and you really leave it to God, He's going to show you, ways where, yeah, when you say it, it clicks, So all that to say, don't feel pressured into having to do things the way the status quo claims that you have to, because chances are you're going to have to carve your own lane anyway. So carve your own lane. Just start there, carve your own lane. And don't try to fit the little ocean that everybody's trying to, tell you that you have to be in. Just swim in your own little lane. You'll be fine. You'll be all right. You might be a little slow for a little bit, because again, you're going against the current. But the more you do it, you build up resistance, you build up strength. So yeah, keep at it. I can't think really of much else that I wanted to add into this without making this episode mad long. So I'm gonna cut it here. Well, thank you again for tuning in for yet another episode. For another episode. If you enjoyed this, definitely, give me a rate and review. I would absolutely love to hear your feedback, your input, so I could know that I'm not making these episodes into like the ether, I'm actually making stuff that you guys want to hear, that you guys want to see. So leave a comment if you're watching the video on the YouTube, or if you are listening, right? You listening and streaming this joint from some podcast platform like Apple, Google, Spotify, somewhere else. Leave a review and a rating. Tell me what your favorite part was so I know, and then absolutely feel free to DM me on Instagram with, things you would love to hear me dive into. And as well, I wanted to let y'all know very soon we'll have guests on the show, but until then, y'all are just stuck with me for now by my lonesome, as I hope to hopefully give you some value and otherwise entertain you. And if not, shoot, I entertain myself. So there's that. But anyways, like I said, thank you for joining me today, wherever you are right now. I don't know, but I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. All right, till next episode. Peace.